So I've got a nice little analogy for you here that will fit, hopefully, within your risk profile and allow you to trade a little bit better. But it also describes quite beautifully why trading is so hard. But let me talk about that in this video. Please like and comment on the video below. That will allow me to produce better quality videos and more of them in the future. So yeah, I had a conversation with somebody the other day and I was talking to them about trading and I was talking to them about the markets, and they were saying, oh yeah, but what is the perfect setup that I can absolutely do and that an idiot could do where I will be able to make money? Now, there are lots of things that you can do that have a very high strike rate and you'll make money over a short period of time, but making money over a longer period of time is a little bit harder, because when you're looking at trading, very often there is no definitive answer. So, I know what a 10 out of 10 trade looks like. We talk about it when we do training here, where we say what is the perfect trade, and one by one we can describe all of the items that will lead to that perfect trade. Now the problem is that doesn't occur very often. By and large, what tends to happen within the market is you do not have a perfect setup. I've tried to describe it before by saying it's a puzzle. You're looking at a puzzle within a market and you'll never be able to put all the pieces together. There'll always be bits missing, and that's what you tend to find when you're trading. And people very often struggle to come to terms with that because they're saying, well, can't you just teach me to trade? And it's like, well, I am teaching you. I'm telling you how the market works, what influences price, the way that it's going to go, and so on and so forth. But people seem to be looking for that definitive, absolute answer. And the fact is, when you trade, that very often does not exist. So trading is all about a balance of profit and losses. You want to make more profits than you do losses. So you're trying to get yourself into positions that generally pay off, and you're trying to minimize situations where you have fewer losses. Now that could be strategy, it could be market selection, it could be individual trade selection that allows you to tip that balance. But there are loads of biases in the market that sort of hint and point you in roughly the right direction. But the best way to think of trading is imagine that you're playing a cricket match, okay? But on this cricket match, it's a unique and unusual match in that there are no stumps, there are no wickets. So when the ball gets bowled towards you, you can just watch it go flying past, and it's going to make absolutely no difference. You cannot get out by being bowled out. So the only way that you can be out is if you edge the ball to the slips, or you try and get a six and somebody catches you in the outfield. So when you think of trading like that, what you're saying is that effectively that element of risk is within your control. When the bowler is bowling the ball, you could just let him bowl the ball all day long and then just take one shot and hit it out of the ground. Now, you're never going to perform as well as somebody that can get loads of runs over the course of the day, but nonetheless you will pick off a sensible trade. So there are certain setups and sequences that occur on a regular basis. So you could pick off 2 really good trades over the course of the day and ignore all of the rest and still do okay. Now, you will be a bit annoyed if you perhaps don't hit it quite right and then you end up getting caught out. That would be a bit annoying. So the problem that you have when you're trading is that when a market comes upon you, you can't be absolutely 100% sure what it's going to do because you're not the bowler. You're not the guy that's trying to get you out. And that's how the market acts. The ball will come down to you and you'll have some really good opportunities to hit it, and you won't have some good opportunities to hit it. So in my head I have an internal scorecard, and if the market's a 10 out of 10, then I'll step my foot forward, swing the bat and blast it out of the ground. I'll get a 12 from it if I could. But if the ball coming down is a little bit dodgy, then I may just not bother to hit it. But if you're there furiously swiping away at every ball that comes down and you're not paying any attention to what's happening, you're going to get caught out quite frequently, and you may get a few decent runs, but on the overall scheme of things, you're not really going to do that particularly well, and it takes up a lot of energy. So why not just wait for the right ball to come down? The difference between what I do and what a lot of other people do is that in most markets I can generally get a run out of one of those markets. Even if it's like only a 5 out of 10, I'll know roughly what to do and I'll get it really right. But if if it's a 3 out of 10 or something, then I'm going to be cautious. And if I see a market that's a 1 or 2 out of 10 in terms of how I assess the market, then I probably won't trade it. My biggest sin is looking at a market that scores a 1 out of 10 in terms of how likely I am to get something out of the market, and I'll trade it and lose money. And then I just think, well, okay, I still haven't learned how to do that. I still can't work that one out. But also think about it, you could get a 10 out of 10, but in my experience, you know, a 10 out of 10 market is very, very rare, very, very rare. And usually it's like a 9.8 out of 10, because even if the perfect sequence lines up, there was a perfect sequence that lined up at Goodwood this year, you know, something could still go wrong. It's still not impossible that somehow you don't quite get back to ball and it doesn't quite go exactly the way that you want, or some other situation that occurs. So even then, getting something that is guaranteed to make a profit is actually pretty rare. So part of the trading process is how much risk do you take? How, you know, when those balls are coming down, how many of them do you want to hit? Because you'll never have a definitive answer, because you don't know what the bowler's thinking. And the bowler is the market. So the bowler will chuck balls at you. You have to decide whether you want to hit them or not. Now, you could play super cautious and ultimately just not hit a single ball or wait for the perfect ball. He can chuck as many balls as he can down over the course of the day, and you're bound to find at least one of those is going to be a great delivery that you can absolutely smash. Or if you have a bit more experience and you're like me, then generally what you're attempting to do is you're trying to hit as many balls as you possibly can, but you generally would avoid ones that you're not so sure about. But typically I could probably get a run out of a delivery that a lot of people may not be able to, and I tend to get more boundaries and more sixes than most people are able to do. So think of the sixes as a large meeting. You know, I just can't wait for those meetings to come around because I know them so well that I'm likely to step up and smash a few balls. Whereas if we're looking at some weaker racing, then I'm just going to go for a few singles and a couple of doubles and gradually build my total up over the course of the innings. So yeah, when you're trading, you have to take risk. That risk can manifest itself in terms of using a metaphor as a bowler when you're bowling in cricket. But the great thing about the trading game is if you let that ball go past, there's no way that you can get out. If you don't understand what you're looking at, if you don't understand what you're seeing, then it's not a problem. You just let the ball go past, because he's not going to hit the wickets. He can't bowl you out. The only way you can get out is if you step up to hit the ball and then you edge it to the slips, or somebody catches you, or you send it straight back to the bowler and he catches it. So yeah, bear that in mind when you're actively trading. It's one of the things that catches people out. There is no definitive answer. I can describe beautifully the way the market works and how prices influence each other and how all of that interacts and so on. And you can put that together to form a decent trade. But in terms of just sort of saying, oh yeah, when somebody bowls, just keep on hitting this, that's not a sensible answer to the problem that you have with trading. So yeah, bear that in mind. Hopefully that'll give you a good indication as to where you sit on that risk scale. You need to learn and understand the markets well enough to know when you can hit that ball for six. But the best way to avoid getting out is to not hit the ball. But that, obviously you won't make any money that way. So you're going to have to sit somewhere on that scale. That, more or less, is what you're trying to solve when you're actively trading.